Hello, welcome to Earth to Claudette, where it's our world, my insights, your support. So today I want to talk about something that is not specific to science per se or the environment, but really just general help, right? So I realize that we're in an age where there are a ton of voices, like even on YouTube, like everyone has an opinion. Seems like everyone has a channel. Anything that you want to know about, it's here on YouTube, or it's on Instagram, or it's on Facebook, it's on some sort of social media platform, it's on the internet. And a lot of times we get in these situations where we can, have questions about what direction to take. Was I right? Was I wrong? How do I get out of this situation? So we may turn to our good friend Google. But as I have found personally, Google does not always have the correct answers. The people who may render an answer to a question that you have burning in your heart, maybe say at 12 a.m., midnight, or 3 a.m., no judgments, again, I've been there. A lot of times their answers, if you listen to them or if they have any possible solutions to whatever quandary you may be in, if you do it, you will be in a worse situation than you were before. So I decided that this video would be about how I go about getting good advice. So hopefully these tips can help you as well. So the first question that I ask is if I'm looking for advice, whether it be from someone online or if it's someone who I have access to that I could speak with in person or over the phone, I ask myself, do I know their story? And I realize it's really important for you to know anyone who you're going to ask for advice or ask for a solution or ask for help, to at least know some part of their history as it pertains to whatever question you're going to ask them about. So if it's career related, make sure they have been where you're trying to go. If it's relational, make sure you've seen them or have heard about an experience that they may have had that relates to something that you want the answer from. So I think it's really important that before you go to someone or even receive advice from someone concerning a topic that is really important to you, that you know the story, you know the background, you have an idea of the history, at least something tangible about the person whom you're getting the answer from or potential solution from. All right, so the second thing that I look for when seeking advice is I look at those around the person who I'm getting advice from. So say if it's relational advice, right? Typically, I'd like to go to someone who has more experience than me, and if it's in the area of like partnerships or friendships, whatever the case, I'm looking at their spouses. I'm looking at whether their spouses look happy if it's a relational question, or at least that they have a healthy relationship, right? That they both respect each other, that there's no biases there's no gender biases, because that's a real thing, or any sort of something bad that you don't want for yourself. So I'm looking at that. If it's a friendship issue, I'm going to someone who I see has healthy, thriving relationships, healthy, thriving friendships around them, like long sustaining friendships, friendships that even I've seen and, I've even may have known some of their friends, So I'm looking at those around them, and say if it's someone I don't have access to, like there's a ton of YouTube gurus and a ton of people on YouTube giving advice, mentors or what have you, and some of them are really good, so for those people I don't have direct access to, I check their socials out, like, okay, this guy is giving relationship advice. Is he married? Does he have a partner? Let me check out their socials if they have one. Okay, they have pictures together, so the partner has pictures together of the person and speaks and actually sometimes makes appearances in their videos. Okay, I'm more apt to taking advice from someone like that, than instead of someone who I never see any of their partnerships or them in healthy relationships with anyone or seemingly healthy relationships, because it does matter. All right, so the next thing I look for when seeking advice from a person, I think about how I feel, like while I'm listening to their content. So say if this is someone online, while I'm listening to their content or reading their content, or even after having spoken to them or having digested their content, whatever the case may be, I think about how I feel, like what type of residue or do I come out with, or do I feel inspired after speaking or listening to this person, or do I feel like down, and have to kind of prep myself back up to feel better. That's really important, because if you're getting advice from someone who makes you feel bad and you can't pinpoint why, that's usually a bad sign that that person may not have been speaking to you from a space or from a place that can really help you. So yes, all advice, shouldn't just make you feel good. Sometimes we need to hear the truth. We need persons who can be objective in our lives, whether they be personal relationships or, through social media, through the internet as resources for help. However, they shouldn't leave you feeling worse than you came. They shouldn't leave you feeling like this sense of despair about yourself. You shouldn't feel personally attacked. They should be able to give you information or help or advice, even if it's, it could be harsh. They can do it in a way that protects you at your core, that shows that they care about you as a person, as an individual, and that they're looking after your best interests. So definitely think about how you feel during and after, and even sometimes before, because you may have had some like history with a person and it doesn't sneak up onto you or become clear to you that they've made you feel uncomfortable in the past, until you find yourself dreading answering their calls or dreading calling them if you have some sort of obligation to call them. So definitely think about how you feel from the person when you're around the person or listening to the person whom you're going to seek advice from. All right, and the last point that I have about going to people to seek advice, like figuring out who the best person is to do that or get advice from, I observe them. So basically in my background, having a science background, a research background, and even recently my job calls for me to do investigations. I observe, that's part of my nature. And I think that that's a great skill to apply towards people, especially people whom you're going to get advice from. Observe them, like not while you're asking a question or getting advice from them, but observe them in different settings. Make sure you're able to see them socially, make sure you're able to engage them, like how they deal with people one-on-one, how they talk to other persons who aren't you, or people of different age groups, genders, nationalities. How they treat people is really important, and it's an indicator of how they could likely treat you, or even render advice that, could be disingenuous or could really just have a negative impact on your own personal self and your own growth and even your relational growth. I look at whether their morals and their values align with my own. So that's really important. That really should be like the first point that I mentioned here today in this video. But make sure you're getting advice from someone who foundationally you agree, whether it is on the topic of, like, if you agree on the things that matter most to you, if it's your faith, if it's your religion, make sure you're getting the advice, especially if it's crucial advice for your life, from someone who you at least have that common ground. And if you don't have that common ground, that you are okay with getting advice from someone who doesn't share that with you, because to you it doesn't matter. Just make sure you're clear about that. Make sure you're getting advice from someone who you want to be where they are. Like, they don't have to be a millionaire or a billionaire, even though they could be. Maybe it's just they are more successful, say, with living their life, with living and adjusting to changes and challenges than you may have felt that you have been, and you aspire to be as they are, being flexible, and being adaptable. So you reach out to them for advice because you see that that's a skill set, a strength that they have. That's the type of person you should talk to if you have a question specifically related to that. So observe the people that you're getting advice from. Make sure you're able to see them in their element, out of their element, when they're happy, when they're sad, and that's if it's someone in person. If it's someone online, check out a good amount of their videos, or listen for the rhetoric that you hear around this person's name if they are a popular figure. If it's positive, then that's a good sign. Usually, if they're positive, you may not hear that much about them in the news. It's usually when they're not so great, when they are known for something bad or for hurting people or hurting people's feelings or being shock jocks or having some sort of shock value, that their names are more popularized. So you definitely want to look out for that. All right, so those were the tips I had for navigating this world of social media, of online interactions, and just seeking help, how to do it, the best way to go about it, what to look for in persons giving it, and I hope that they are able to help you. All right, thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed and comment below if you have any other tips that you think that I left out or you think could be helpful for the next person, as far as how people, especially today, can make sure they are, going to the right people in the right places for advice. All right, take care.